Welcome back to Factorio Ribbon World. My name is Nilaus, and we are continuing on our recap of this. Now, I did a weekly recap, but with the content I wanted to cram into each weekly recap, I just realized that I was falling more and more behind. So here is a bonus weekly recap of the progress, so that we should be all caught up with where we are in the base. Also, I wanted to sort of leave it into sort of more logical chapters about sort of outsourcing resources in the previous one. And in this one, we're going to be talking about how to scale up the new science by outsourcing science. Currently, we are still using the old science. So we have red greens just chugging along here. We have military. We have we have blue science here, and we have yellow science here. And purple science is just crammed in here. But those are all things we want to change. So that is what we're going to be summarizing in this episode, so that will sort of be a coherent vision for this. So if you are finding this series interesting, I do encourage you to come on over to Twitch. I'm streaming this on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. No, Tuesday, Thursdays, and Sundays at 8 p.m. Central European Time over on Twitch TV/Nilaus, and you're very welcome to drop by. If you don't want to or don't have the opportunity to drop by of those times, then you can also watch my VODs of the entire live stream. They are either going to be on Twitch or they will gradually or eventually be moved over to my secondary YouTube channel. It's called Nilaus TV. There's a link in the description below, so you can find it there. Or you could just watch this one to sort of get updated and get a good feel for how a base like this would progress as we move along. Now, this is the last thing we built. Get the productivity modules and speed modules up and running. Unfortunately, this thing here takes a bit of time. It takes a bit of space, actually too much space if you look at how wasted the space is. Space is at a premium. So actually we could take this part, since it only has 2 inputs and no outputs, and put it up here, put it there. And then we can just sort of wrangle this around, so we can sort of put it in here. And that gets us a new location here that we can use for possibly red and green science, because that's the first thing we want to outsource. Basically start with the simplest one, outsourcing red and green science. And then we should retire the old ones. So how about taking a look at where removing this and changing this into something more useful. So this location is now retired. I did not redo this for the red and green science, because I had to sort of burn that out, run that out for a bit. So it was moved over here instead. And only once sort of that was out, then we could retire the old one. And for some reason, as you can see here, we have been recently attacked. There's still 2 biters left from the invasion force. And we come on over to this location. This is the red and green science. So my objective for this stage of the game is that I want to build my outsource build. These are the designs that I'm using or I have for my masterclass. So if you want to see these really awesome masterclass builds, these are all delivering 22.5 of each science per second. That's half of a blue belt. So for that, you can just scale it up as much as you like in very neat little modules like this. But I am not ready to support this because I have not enough modules. We have 117 and we have none. 200, yes, 200. It's maybe enough for this one, but it's not going to be enough for all of them. So what I'm doing is I'm taking the design and then I'm scaling it all down to using modules 1 for all of it. And then we'll eventually scale it all up. So that means if we look at this part, if we just summarize how much it's actually delivering, it's going to deliver per second or per minute, 600 per minute. So if I get all of the science working at this level, then I'll be getting around 600 science per minute. And that's going to be my first step up, is getting to 600 science per minute. Once we get that operational and we can support it with the trains and the resources coming in, then my objective is to scale even further up and then hopefully get to the 1350 or 1300 science per minute, which corresponds to about 22.5 per second. That's going to be the end goal. Now, I do have sort of something I've been contemplating on is since we have these hype trains going on here on Twitch, and we just for fun, we made a little leaderboard where you basically take the level of the hype train and square it, and that gives some points. These points are not really used for anything except sort of bragging rights. But what I could be doing is saying that could summarize all those points, and that could be sort of my targets. So basically I need to scale up the base to a certain level, and that's going to be sort of my challenge here. That's what we're working on right now with the beautiful, lovely developers, moderators who are just continually adding new features to the game as I come up with it to the mods here. But anyway, this is our red and green signs. I've decided that it's going to go here in by robot, not by train, because I will have issues with getting these on trains generally. So what I'll be doing here is putting them on a robot network, and that's of course not sustainable in the long run to bring it all the way back here and then retire this build. This has been retired but not cleaned up yet. You can see here, if there's only requesting 200, they will always be en route all the way in here, even though if we look at this location, it's actually full. That is not a great idea. So we'll have to come up with something that's a bit more robust. And by that, I mean moving the signs closer. But first of all, it's all about just building the signs and then moving on to figure out what that's going to be like. As you can also see, we're starting to use blue belts for most of it. And that's going to be a problem moving forward. Back here in our hub, we are making blue belts. And one of the big problems with blue belts is, at this point, it actually looks okay. It's stable. But one of the big problems with the blue belts, if I, for example, did something like upgrade all of this to blue belts, then it would get really busy, and the blue belts would start consuming. They consume a lot of iron, of course, for the gears. And it would also just consume a lot of lubricant. Now that draws a lubricant, and the lubricant is coming from back over here. It's just wrangling our way through here, and we can already see the problem. There is nothing here, and this one is decreasing. Why is there nothing here? Well, it's because this build here is a combined, what is it called? Advanced oil refining, and that means it is also, it's a requirement that something is consuming petroleum, and nothing really is consuming petroleum from this location. I could make a petroleum exporter. That might actually be something I should do, because there is up here, there's room. I've actually already started making it, but I have not hooked it up. But exporting petroleum from this location, so we're sure that this doesn't run out. But even if it doesn't run out, this is a very limited amount of lubricant that I'm building. So it would be nice if I could build a new build that would actually take care of a dedicated lubricant build. Lo and behold, I spent some time on designing this on stream. It was a really good exercise on designing this. The objective here is that we want to take some coal coming in, and gets put into a coal liquefaction. Coal liquefaction is very heavily favoring making heavy oil. So the heavy oil comes out. Heavy oil goes into where? Where the heavy oil goes, of course, into just making a stupid amount of lubricant. And once we've done the lubricant, well, we're going to have some residual light oil and some residual petroleum. And that I'm just making into solid fuel, together with taking the lubricant is of course the light oil being prioritized down here for making rocket fuel. And I'm just gonna vent this, but just throw it away so that I never have this jam. And this will just be an extra little surplus of rocket fuel that it's just gonna help out with the rocket fuel production in general. But the main objective is that it'll only run when there's a need for lubricant. So this one will just be putting out a lot of lubricant, basically as total it's 200 lubricant per second, which is absolutely enough. And it goes in here to a location. We don't have a train yet, but this train will be brought back home to the hub so that we can have a reliable, stable, non-jamming solution for building lubricant and always having that available. It's also going to be handy when we need to build the blue science, but that is not a much later, but it's one of the next things. So no, actually not blue science, for yellow science. So yellow science needs electric engines, and that needs lubricants. So we do need to get that anyway. Here we have our red and green, but we've also started working on the next one. I decided that the next one should be the purple science. The reason why is because, well, what is the reason why? Well, because it's the most complicated, and I thought it would be great to get rid of that immediately. So what I've done is I have some stations out here. This one will take the combined stone and stone bricks, and this one will take steel. So steel comes in at 4 belts, and yes, 4 belts is actually what is needed here. This is, of course, only delivering, as we talked about, 600 per minute. But even then, it's going to consume, at this point, 82 per second. And when we scale it up to having Mark III modules, then it'll be consuming 135 steel per second. So that's definitely 4 lanes of steel coming in. And we are going to leach the green circuits from the red-green science, and also using this location for a red inbound, because we have reds, we have stone and stone breaks, and we have steel. And then from the top over here, we are going to get the iron also from the previous build. And then we actually have some open space here, and that is super beneficial because we have a nice copper coal location here that we can continue to use. So that is one more science that is at least designed, but now need to be hooked up and then ready to go. And now we have the purple science fully operational. All of the lines have been connected and the trains have been allowed to come in here with the resources. And you can see that it's, of course, in an idle state. Why is it an idle state? Well, because this one is producing the 600 per minute that we were just talking about, 600 per minute. And of course, none of the other old sciences are working at 600 per minute, and our science facility cannot even consume 600 per minute, so that doesn't really make any sense. Well, it's way overproducing at this point, which is good, but it produces. And then one of the things that we are going to see is that we will be running out of some of the basic materials, such as green circuits, red circuits, and blue circuits. Those are going to be major issues right now. So one of the things that we want to do, since we also really want to have this one keep going, is that we want to make sure that we are upgrading those basic resources to actually the fully upgraded versions. We still have some green circuits that are sort of using that intermediate. There are some beacons here and there are some modules here and there, but not sort of the big construction or the big end game build. As you can see, there are some biter nests because we've been attacked recently, and both with bombs and biters. We even have a lack of a nuclear power plant here. We're still working on the last reactor to come in. And we also have like many belts and modules that are still sort of in back order to be filled up. That's one of the big issues. You can see here what happens once in a while when something gets blown up. Then you will have these half of a train that's empty, half of it full. That's why balances are extremely important in this series. But we are already, despite the attacks incoming, such as this here and here, they are dissipating. You can see they're fading. They're fading into the ground, and we are coming up here. So at this location, this is our new build for green circuits, because we're going to start upgrading green circuits, and we're going to upgrade red circuits, and then we're going to upgrade, well, probably not blue, but we just want to make sure the blue is actually working. So this is this is the final end game, and as you can see, we are still getting bombs dropped on us. This one, well, it could be worse, but it could also be better. This is definitely also something that I'd like to be updating soon. 60% of a nuclear bomb is it. So if it drops like this on the intersection, it doesn't do much damage. But if it drops like in the middle here or on a nuclear power plant, then yeah, it's pretty damn severe. But it also means that when something gets destroyed, we usually have a big stockpile. But when things are like this, when there's a bomb queue here, then first of all, I have to be careful where I run in the base. But also, it's simply going to drain our stockpile. That means this base is using way more resources than you would expect, because it needs to rebuild the same things many times over. But we will rebuild it both because we are upgrading, but also because it gets nuked. Here we are rebuilding the green circuits, and we'll be also upgrading the red circuits as well. The red circuits over here, I have deliberately built it sort of on the lower half so we can upgrade again. We will, though, if we upgrade it, doesn't really make a difference if we don't have enough plastic as well. So that's another little issue here. You can see the plastic, it has lots of oil, but it does not have enough coal. So we are looking at making sure that the coal, which we are actually only getting from this location, can actually go into these locations here and keep feeding our coal plants. This one is now kind of in a double stuck situation, isn't it? No, it's not that one. It is, where's the plastic? Where's the plastic? Where are you, plastic? Here. That one. No, that one. It has somehow been disabled. That's weird. Definitely something that we don't want to have that done. So that's why we ran out of plastic, ran out of red circuits. So those are the kind of things that always happen when we panic. What I'll be doing is I'll be upgrading the red circuits here, doubling up that would be good, and then making sure that we actually have a stable plastic production so we can actually keep feeding this. This is now our new red circuits, and damn, we've been attacked. a lot between the previous and this one. We can see that we still have a lot of things that are not working. We have this one got wrecked as well. This one got completely obliterated, both by biters that we had to build up fancy turrets here, and also this got nuked as well. No, this is actually rebuilt, but also our entire nuclear power plant got taken out again. So yeah, there was that was a lot of things. But despite all of that, we're still progressing. We're still managing to move forward with our base, and we see you can see all the biter corpses here. That is now a doubling up of our red circuit build. These are currently using just Mark 1 modules and beacons, but they will, of course, at some point be updated when I feel that this needs to go even further. But as long as we can't even feed all of the modules, then I don't really feel that it's the time to start scaling up. Let's just get this back up and running. Sometimes you're in recovery mode, sometimes you are in expansion and in exploitation mode. But right now, this is definitely a recovery from last attack, where the hub is working as diligently as it can to start to replenish the resources lost in the last attack and before the next one comes in as well. That is always a challenge. We have coal coming in here, and we have a somewhat of production here. It's definitely not a high enough production. You can see that electricity is not doing so great actually at this point, which is bit surprising. No, it's not actually surprising. That's because these are simply not warm enough. They're lukewarm nuclear power plants, and that doesn't work. You're not really going to get much nuclear power out of a 260-degree hot nuclear reactor. No. It needs to go up above 500. So that means these are not producing any power. This entire thing is not producing power. So on top of everything else, we are also losing power. So maybe it would be a good idea to build a new nuclear power plant over here. We now have also, because that's the flip side of the attacks, the way that it works on this Twitch integration is that biters will spawn when new subscribers are joining the community. Thank you very much for that. And that is also what unlocks more space, so that we get attacked, but in the price of that, or the upside of it, is that we now have more space. So it's time for us to do an expansion out here, so we can get a new nuclear power plant, so that we have 3 nuclear power plants, and if one goes out, we still have 2. I love that way of thinking. Let's get that done. Oh, we also have lots of things. Oh yeah, look at that. Yeah, this is a mess. We're definitely in recovery mode for sure. So let's skip all of that part and just flash forward into a much happier time when we have new nuclear power plants and expansion going on. Here we have the next new example of the GFS power plant, designed by, well, none other than GFS, to fit just here while we're doing the intersection between the upper and the lower path. And it's a good place to build a nuclear power plant. We put it here. As you can see, it is almost working, but it's also still missing 3 reactors, so that they're being built. So that's it's something. And what you can also see is that as part of all the explosions and expansions last time, the bomb strength has now gone up to 70%. That means if a bomb drops, it will now be 70% of a nuclear bomb coming in here. That will not deter us. What we are going to do is we are going to continue to expand the base and build a red circuit base and a steel here that will go in. And on top here, we will have the iron part, and there we go. So that's the iron and the sulfur. So those will all come in here, and they will be built into this location, which is our masterclass build for blue circuits, blue science, and the blue science will then come out here and be put into boxes as usual. Again, we're scaling it down to Mark 1 modules just making sure that it keeps consistent in that regard. That will be a pretty good step forward. And what we can then see is that now we're on the progress of expanding out here and making new modular science builds that are going to deliver up to, in the current iteration, up to 600 science per minute. And once we get that, then we're going to be scaling up to 1000 science per minute. And yeah, as you can see, we now have a few more things. So we'll get the blue up and running. We'll build some yellow. We'll build some ingredients for the rockets. So that's going to be new rocket control units, new rocket fuel, maybe more low density structures, more satellite production, get a new science lab that's going to be over here. All those things will be sort of in the next one, as the next push forward. In the next push forward, we will probably also be able to claim more copper, 19 million more copper and more coal. Coal is actually way more valuable because we have not seen any oil since the starter oil, and that is very much running out, this oil here. Here we go. It's 274% in total at this point. It is pretty much out. So the only way to get oil is through coal liquefaction. So more coal facilities is absolutely amazing. If we just look at options there. So yeah, that's going to be it. So if you want to keep up with this series, there will be another update of this here on YouTube on Monday, as usual, which will summarize from here until up to and including what is on the Sunday stream. Then, but if you want to be part of the design process, the fun process, and watching me struggle in real time with biters, bombs, and continue to do crisp designs in the meantime, then come on over to Twitch. It's on Tuesday, Thursdays, and Sundays at 8 p.m. Central European Time. It's at twitch.tv/Nilaus. And I hope to see you there. It's always nice to see some new faces. I do manage once in a while to lure some people who are regular YouTube viewers to come on over, and it is quite often that people find it to be a completely different experience than what you're seeing here on YouTube. So for better or for worse, maybe that's more of your thing, maybe it's not. But anyway, it's fun. I love streaming, and I also stream other games on the other days. So if you can't make it Tuesday, Thursday, Sundays, then come on over one of the other days and see what we're doing there. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much, everyone in the community, for supporting, either on the live streams or as part of Patreon support. Thank you very much for all of that. Until next time, take care, and as always, stay effective.